This video is a review of mixed numbers and improper fractions. If you remember, mixed numbers and improper fractions are two different ways of representing the same amount. One talks about how many whole shapes and then how many pieces something has, whereas improper fractions simply talk about how many total pieces do we have. So let's take a look at the example there on the screen. I have one whole shape, two whole shapes, and then 5 out of the 8 pieces of another shape. So as a mixed number, I would write this as 2 and 5/8. I have 2 whole shapes completely filled in, and then 5 out of the 8 pieces I need for another one. Now let's look at it as an improper fraction. An improper fraction is how many total pieces do I have? So in the first shape I have 8 pieces. I have another 8 in the middle one, and then I have another 5 in the last one. So total, I have 21 pieces. So my numerator is how many total pieces are there. The denominator is how many pieces does it take to make one whole shape. So one of these whole rectangles, how many pieces does it take? Well, it takes 8 pieces. So as an improper fraction, we would say we have 21 eighths, 21 pieces that are each 1/8 in size. For today, we're going to focus more on how to go from an improper fraction to a mixed number, because this is going to happen a lot in some of our multiplication problems. So the key to an improper fraction is realizing the numerator is larger than the denominator. So it means I have more pieces than I need to make one whole shape. So one way to convert an improper fraction to a mixed number is to create a picture. We know we have fourths, so we create some shapes that are cut into fourths and see how many would we need to fill up 9 pieces. So I could use 4 pieces to fill in the first shape. It takes another 4 pieces to fill in the second shape, and then 1 extra piece to get me to 9 total pieces. So I have 9 pieces that are each 1/4 of a shape. That gave me 2 whole shapes. So I had enough pieces to make 2 whole circles, plus 1 out of the 4 pieces I needed to make the third one. So I have 2 and 1/4. So let's look at 14 thirds. So again, I'm dividing things into thirds. So I'm going to divide up some shapes into thirds, and then I can start to shade them in. So I need to shade in 14 pieces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'm not even done yet. So I'm going to go ahead and draw another one. 13 and 14. So even my first estimate was a little short. So I shaded in 14 pieces that are each 1/3 of a shape. If I count, I was able to make 4 full shapes. So 4 shapes where I colored in all 3 pieces. And then I have 2 out of the 3 pieces left over for my last one. So I end up with 4 and 2/3. So one way to convert an improper fraction to a mixed number is to actually go ahead and draw it out. How many shapes would it take to use up this many pieces? Another way to tackle the problem is to use a division problem. Basically, 25/6 is really the problem. 25 divided by 6. So you go ahead and you divide. You ask how many times can 6 go into 25? Well, it can go in 4 times. You can make 4 whole shapes out of 25. 4 times 6 is 24. Subtracting, I have 1 piece left over. That 1 left over is my fraction piece. So I was able to make 4 whole shapes, that's my whole number, with 1 out of the 6 pieces left over that I still needed. Let's try 17 halves. This is really 17 divided by 2. So I ask myself, how many times can 2 go into 17? Well, it goes in 8 times. 8 times 2 is 16. And I have 1 left over. So my 8 up top, that's my whole number. I was able to make 8 whole shapes that each are made up of halves. So I was able to make 8 whole shapes, and I have 1 of the 2 pieces left over I need for the next shape. So I was able to make 8 1/2. Alright, for these last 4 problems I want you to use whichever method you would like to use. You can draw out the pictures, you can do it as a division problem, or you can do it as a mental math problem. Here's how I would tackle 7/4. I would ask myself, I know it takes 4 pieces to make a whole shape. So how many groups of 4 can I take away from 7? Well, I could take away 1 whole group of 4. If I had 7, I took away 4, how much would be left over? Well, I would have 3 pieces left over. So I end up with 1 3/4. I want you to go ahead and pause, tackle the next 3 on your own, and then when you're done, hit play and see if your answers match up. Okay, 11/3, 3 goes into 11 3 times. So 3 times 3 is 9. So if I were to take away 3 groups of 3 from my 11, that'd be 11 minus 9. That leaves me with 2 pieces left over. So I end up with 3 2/3. So 43/10. I want to know how many groups of 10 can I take away from 43. I can take 4 whole groups of 10. 4 groups of 10 is 40. So if I take away 40 from 43, I'm left with 3 left over. So I have 4 3/10. 29/5. How many 5s can go into 29? Well, I can take away 5 groups of 5. 5 times 5 is 25. So 29 minus 25 leaves me with 4 pieces left over. So 5 4/5.